Yeah, that one had a few miles on it too, but yeah, I actually trimmed up the sleeves, and
Got it looking a little
you know,
spiffy, huh?
but I still wear it to work today,
Yeah,
it's a comfortable coat.
There's a
3 years, 4 years.
yeah.
Oh, what's in the pocket? Better be careful what else I'm going to pull out. Yeah, that's kind of it, and yeah, I'll bet you a coat like this happens in a couple, 3 years. And I've given a couple away.
I thought you could just talk about your friend
Yes,
growing up.
yes, yeah. Yeah, growing up, a friend of mine would always say, your house smells a little funny, He said, it doesn't smell bad, it just smells a little funny. So well, I never, my house always smelled like that. And that was when, my dad's house, when I lived with my dad, and one day they got new carpet. And he goes, hey, we got new carpet, now my house smells just like you like yours. And I'm going, well, what do you mean? Well, I guess it came home on my dad from working all day with it.
I think it's the carpet pad.
Yeah.
I think it's like the carpet, not even the carpet, it's the carpet pad smell.
Yeah, and sometimes you smell it in our house too.
We'd smell it on you when we'd
Yeah.
hug you when you'd come home. Yeah.
So what led you to write the article?
We read this article and I remember it talking about the working class and the effects of being in the working class, and saying how people in the working class often have lower self-esteem, lower self-efficacy, talking about how your status in society as being a worker can negatively impact you and your life. I just got so angry at how, all these academics were discussing people who are in the working class and what that means. If anyone has self-efficacy, it's the working class that people are talking about. And then we had this assignment. It said, hey, write an article, anything, has to do with public health and, theories from the class. And so I was like, I want to write this thing about the importance of unions. Like, unions are public health. That's it, and the history. And, Carhartt kind of reflects that. That's kind of what I think of, your jackets that you're always wearing, and they're beat up, and you held it up and you're like, people pay good money for this. And I was like, that's your work jacket. Like, why are people wearing work jackets?
It's interesting, walking around in, my construction clothes or like this. I'll dress like this regularly, and it's, I don't know, kind of construction like. Yeah. But, and some people just look down on you, but, I'm very, very proud of what we did, and some of the jobs we did, and made a really good living at it. And it's kind of interesting. Malia graduated from Cornell, and we went back for her graduation, and didn't have a union hat on, but I had a Dunn lumber hat, and,
Okay. Yep.
and wore it all the time. And talking to parents, and these guys are lawyers, and they do this and they do that, and they go, what do you do? I said, well, I'm a carpenter, Didn't tell them union carpet layer. They wouldn't know that. Carpenter usually comes out a little easier. But, I was very proud of it, and put my kids through school, got all the bills paid, got everything done, just like all these, these people that thought they're pretty important. Well, I know I'm important, and what I did was important, and, took care of my family. I'd go into a car lot and looking at a car, and the guy says, well, we'll see if you qualify for financing, because I'm in my work clothes. I said, well, if I want that truck, I'll write a check for it. Because, again, the benefits and the money and the time, that we got out of the union.
And your hard work. All those overnights.
Oh. When I started in the mid to late 70s, we were still doing a lot of residentials along with commercial. JCPenney's was the #2 floor seller in the world. Sears and Roebuck was the first.
Really?
And if you had a JCPenney's card, you could get credit and afford to put carpet in your house. So we would drive all over Greater Seattle Northwest, and doing residential carpet installs as union installers. And there was commercial work, but Seattle wasn't a big city back then. I mean, there was a big joke when Ivor Hagelin in '76 spent $1 million for the Smith Tower. They figured real estate never be worth $1 million. That's how small Seattle was. Bought my house, 12 months into my apprenticeship, bought my first house. And I remember 47.5, came to my apprenticeship school. Larry Cortness was my apprenticeship instructor. I said, Larry, I bought a house. And he goes, what'd you pay? I said, 47.5. He says, what? Sell it. Get out from under it. Do whatever you can. Larry goes, it'll never cost more than $50,000 to build a house. And you bought a used one for $47,000. I thought, oh my God, what am I going to do? This is my apprenticeship teacher, and he knows what's going on, and I just bought this house. I'm going to lose my butt on it. Yeah.
And what was your first paycheck?
Well, this wasn't union. It was before I got in the union. I was making $1.60 an hour.
Big money.
Yeah. Do you know what a 40-hour paycheck paid?
Well, at $1.60, I guess about $65.
Yeah, 64. Yep. And then they took taxes out.
Of course.
Yeah.
Of course, they gotta have theirs.
Yeah, but I saved half of that first check too. But yeah, when I was in the union, I'm trying to remember what we were making. I bet you journeyman was about $12 in '76.
Where did the whole family history start?
My grandfather, John Mackey, was working at Emmanuel's, and he bought a building up on Capitol Hill on 19th and Republican and started Central Carpet Cleaners. And basically that's when they were out cleaning carpets and basically bringing all the Oriental rugs in and maintaining people's carpets in their houses. And then it wasn't until after the war where my dad got into it, and he started right in the union at that time. And sometime in that time span, my grandfather was brought in as a shop owner, was brought into the union, and I believe that was the Taft-Hartley Act that brought him in. So my grandfather and my dad both were installers, and my dad at the time was just an installer for the shop. Yeah. And later on, him and two other guys bought out my grandfather's business.
The dirtiest, nastiest.
Yeah, he would always take the nastiest part of the job, dirtiest, nastiest, ugliest thing, and he'd start on that. He didn't want anybody else to have to do that, And you never knew. He was, he was just like some old guy that always, picked the crappy job.
You should talk about how Grandpa did the Space Needle and then you did it later.
Oh yeah, cool. Yeah. When they built the Space Needle for the World's Fair, my dad's shop got to do the original install, and he took me up when I was 5 years old in the Frayed elevator up in the Space Needle. Those old Frayed elevators with the fence. They drop a fence down there and it kind of rattles, and and I still remember holding on to his hand and pasted up against the back of it, and yeah. But then went up there and was they were doing the carpet install, and then from there, our shop had always done it. Every time they redid the restaurant, we were always up and doing it. And then they built that restaurant on the 100 level, and we worked in that. Almost died in that.
Yeah.
Almost died. I'm pulling a piece of carpet. We're pulling the carpet into place, and I tripped, went back, and put my hand on the window. There wasn't a window there.
Oh.
and hit my hip, and kind of grabbed the window and. The other window, but they took two windows out on each side of the building, so they have airflow through there. Yeah.
Did you continue to work the rest of the day?
I had to, yeah. There's no stopping for anything. When you're working, you don't go home because you're sick or anything. I was 24 and a half years, and I missed a day and a half of work because I was sick.
You must have been very sick.
I was.
You would crawl to the truck when you had your back injury, like you were.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah, there was a time when I had a sciatica, and they got me a special parking spot on the job site, closest one to the job site, and I'd have to sit down twice before I could get on the job site. But once I was on the job site on my hands and knees, I could work all day.
You're fine.
And yeah. And guys would go out and get me lunch, and yeah. I realized my back was really bad one day. I going to work, and I'm kind of hiding it from Jody, getting up in the shower and getting to the living room, stretching out, and get ready to walk to my truck. And I get down there to my truck in the driveway, and I opened the passenger door and climbed across the seats instead of walking around the front of the truck. And that's when you know your back's bad. So I couldn't walk this far, but I climbed across. Yeah. But you still went to work, right?
Absolutely.
What option did you have? We had bills that were both our daughters were competitive athletes, and we had bills that were just incredible, and it was always taken care of. Mm-hmm. It can all go back to the union gave us the opportunity to do that because, our hours were consistent, mm-hmm. Our pay was consistent, we had the money, we had the medical benefits, and we were able to do that with mm-hmm. you guys. And, I had sports bills that were larger than my mortgage. Mm-hmm. And Jody sometimes wouldn't tell me how much it was. Life's treated us really well, mm-hmm. And again, worked hard, and without the union, I know we wouldn't be in the place we are today. Life wouldn't have been as simple as it was.
I've watched you pick up a piece of cardboard, just like take one of those pencils, and like sketch out some lines, throw on some numbers, and like a week and a half later, there will be this beautiful tile floor with like perfectly cut edges, and he's ordered just the right amount of materials, and the spacing on the slate coloring is all exact. Like it is art. It's just like the craftsmanship that people don't realize goes into floors. And
you don't see it right off, but
yeah.
You know the floor just isn't quite right,
Yeah.
Union labor, they know what they're doing.
Mm-hmm.
And it's gonna get done, it's gonna be done right. One job had 100,000 yards of carpet. The building was 380 feet wide and 780 feet long. 3 floors of offices with parking underneath. We'd come in and just start rolling out peel and stick carpet, pulling it out, putting one side on, fold it back, peel off the backing, cut the seam, boom, onto the next one, and you'd lay 200 yards per man, sometimes 300 yards per man per day. I remember this one time I came to one of Kia's classes, and we were show and tell. She brought the dog in for show and tell, and she does show and tell, and we're all done. And then after I left, they have a question and answer for my daughter Kia. And first question they go is, "Why does your dad have duct tape on his fingers?" And I go, "Well,
that's what's holding them on."
Yeah. Well, you should show them your fingers too. These are some hands.
Yeah.
You just hold them up.
You mind?
No. People enjoy them. This finger, this is as straight as this goes. See, so that's as straight as I can get that one. Then I've got this one here. Can you see that one? Yeah. But here's the other side. I dropped a piece of stone on it the other day. But you see the fingers here. You see that there? You see how they fit perfectly?
Holding a knife.
That's a knife or a hammer, right? Yeah. This is, I got this in 77. I think you got a toolbox, a hammer, a knife, and I think you got 150 bucks worth of tools when you started your apprenticeship. But yeah, it's never lost it for some reason. I've lost 100 hammers. But never lost that one. And it wasn't great for pounding tack strip, but I did pound a lot of it with it.
That's very cool.
Supposed to have a fiberglass or a wood handle. Handle the vibration better. But yeah.
Me, me, me,
Stick
me,
that in
me,
your
me,
back
me.
pocket.
Me, 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 me.